If you are trying to get better at chess, but you don't see any improvement in your rating, then that is all because of one single reason. And the reason is that you are just repeating the same mistakes and the same bad play style in every single game. So in this video, I am going to teach you a new play style. And if you watch this video from the beginning until the end and you try out this new play style, you are going to see massive improvement in your games, I promise you. So you can use what I am going to teach you with white and with black, and it also doesn't matter. You can use this with your current opening, and honestly, you don't even need to follow an opening to use this. So what are we going to do? We are going to follow a strategy, which is one, following the opening principles, to just castle as quickly as possible and put a pawn in the center and develop pieces. And then two, we are going to try to limit the amount of pawn pushes we make to a bare minimum. We are basically going to try for as long as we can to only move the E pawn, the D pawn, and the C pawn. These three we can move. All of the others, we should try to avoid moving them as much as possible. And I am going to explain why during this video. So I just want to develop as quickly as possible. So I am going to play pawn to E3. I am going to develop my bishop and also pin this knight. And I want to castle. But of course, very important, every single time your opponent makes a move, I call this sit on your hand. Like literally, when you make a move, let go of your computer mouse, look at what your opponent is doing first, because obviously they are attacking the bishop, so we need to deal with it. But there are many not such obvious threats that you also need to watch out for, and that is why we want to always sit on our hands first. But basically this is not a problem. We can capture. We already doubled the pawns, and then we are going to castle. So that's the first part of the strategy, and now it is time for part 2 of the strategy. So once we have castled, we are going to follow a very simple strategy. So keep in mind, we want to minimize pawn moves except for the E, D, and C pawn. The strategy that we want to follow is called CCTO. Checks, captures, threats, and if we don't see a check, a capture, or a threat, we need to optimize. So we use this every time after we did the sit on your hands check. So yeah, not really a problem with this queen move, not really anything we need to worry about. So do we have a check? No. Do we have captures? No. Do we have a threat? A threat is attacking a high value piece with a low value piece or attacking an unprotected piece. We don't have threats. So we are going to optimize. And optimize always means we want to get more pieces into the game. So I am always looking at my pieces which were still on the back rank. How can I get those into the game? And I'm also looking at pawn moves, but only the E, D, and C pawn. Those are the ones that we want to push. So again, what are they doing first? Not really anything, just took the open file with the rook, not an immediate problem. What are we going to do? Well, no check, capture, or threat, but we have this move, optimize. Move the pawn forward, attack the center, and if they take, of course, we get to also go in with the knight and attack the queen. Okay, so they just moved the bishop here, which it's a good move because they are pinning our knight. And this is already a moment where I am pretty sure almost everybody would just by instinct play h3 and think, okay, we are going to play h3 and we are going to see if we can force them to trade. But of course, they can also go back. Then you could play g4, they can go back again, and we already ruined the pawn structure near our king. So this is definitely not what we want to do. You might say, yeah, I would never do that. I would just play h3. As a single move to kick out the bishop. But you need to learn that every single pawn move you make always creates a weakness. Every pawn move creates a weakness. And what this has made possible is that in the future, in some way, the opponent might eventually set up some type of sacrifice on h3, which was not possible before. And also this g3 square is no longer as well protected once we move that pawn. So all of this to say we need to limit the pawn moves as much as possible. So is there any way that we can fix this pin without moving a pawn? Yes, all we need to do is we need to move the queen And I'm going to go queen a4 because it's also a threat. This, not really, but this is a threat. We are threatening to potentially win a pawn. All right, they take. Well, I think that's pretty obvious. We just need to take back. And what we want to have in general is we always want to have this structure for our king, because this is the safest setup, and it's important that it's exactly like this. We don't want a single pawn move, and we also want all of the pieces to be there. Basically, if you have this, it's near impossible. Well, actually, it is just impossible to get overwhelmed by an attack and to lose. Unless if you are really careless and not paying attention at all, but this should be good enough. So they just took here, which is funny because we are trying to get the most clean pawn structure, which we have. We have a beautiful pawn structure. And my opponent just said, yeah, I don't give anything about pawn structure. Let's just go for tripled pawns. We can take this one, but I think it's going to be more fun to take this one because literally they have tripled pawns. Yeah, that's not the pawn structure that you want to achieve. All right. And this is going to be the best possible example of how moving too many pawns basically ruins your game. Especially here, the tripled pawns, it's just looking ridiculous, but we have the good pawn structure. So do we have a check? Yes, but we lose a queen. Do we have a capture? Yes, but we lose a queen. Do we have a threat? So with a threat, we want to attack a high value piece. We want to attack an unprotected piece. Or we want to attack a piece that is already attacked and defended the same number of times. So let's look at this together. And this is an exercise to try to find the best move. First of all, which are unprotected pieces? Well, the rook, the pawn. And that's basic. Well, yeah, there's rook as well, but we are not attacking that. So these are unprotected pieces. Which pieces are attacked and protected the same number of times? This is attacked once, protected once. Why are the arrows blue? All right. And this is also attacked once and protected once. And I think that's about it. So when we want to make a move, check, capture, okay, threat, we are looking at this. And I think this basically leaves us with two possible moves, and I think both of them are amazing. What move can we play to attack both of the blue squares at once? Knight e5. Knight e5, and then we attack both of the blue squares at once. What move can we play to attack both of the red squares at once? Queen a7 attacks the rook and attacks the pawn. So I really think both of those moves are good. You can pick both of them, doesn't matter. I'm actually going to go with Queen a7. I think Knight e5 is excellent, but I actually just had this entire speech where I was telling you that you should try to keep your knight here for protection reasons. So yeah, why would we not do that? So they moved the knight to protect the rook, but it gives us the pawn for free. I also wanted to show that they might have actually tried to move the rook over as well to protect the pawn, but it's not really a problem. We have a very good position anyways. We could still play knight e5. We could maybe play queen at b7, attack the rook, attack the pawn. We were going to win material in any case. But right now we win that c7 pawn. So that's basically just a free pawn that we have. All right. And our opponent is proposing a trade of queens. Should we trade the queens? Well, I have a very simple rule. The moment that you are up 2 points of material, you trade everything, like everything. How are we up 2 points of material right now? No. We are only up 1 point of material, one single pawn. So we actually want to keep the queen into the game. So let's move the queen so we can keep it into the game. All right. What is e5 doing? They are basically proposing a trade. They are proposing that we take this, they take this, maybe we take this, and then they take there. I think we could do it. It's a big trade. I don't know if we will really benefit from it though. And I just said that we don't really want to be trading too much if we don't have to. So do we have any checks? Yeah, we can sack the queen, not a good plan. Any captures? Yes, we can do the captures. They are equal, so we don't have to do them. We could do them. Do we have any way to optimize pieces? Yeah, maybe we want to get a rook or a bishop into the game, but I don't really see a lot that we can do, because if we move the bishop, we drop the pawn. And moving the rook might be okay. So considering everything that we talked about, I am just going to stick with my strategy and basically just do the CCT, check capture, first. I don't really fully understand why they did not take back. Maybe they didn't want to trade. Strange. But we are up 2 points of material, which means that we are basically just going to be trading the pieces as much as we possibly can. All right. This knight looks like it's trying to jump into that square, so let's just optimize and put a rook here as well. Okay. And they move the pawn to h5. So do we have checks? Yes, they don't work. Captures? No. Threats. So let's look at threats again. Which are the unprotected pieces? I think we have these. Yeah, and still the rook. That doesn't matter. How can we attack them? Maybe rook d4. It's a way to attack a pawn. And I think we are just going to win a pawn. We always have to sit on our hands as well. I think black is trying to capture here, but it doesn't really matter because at the end of the day, or they can capture there. At the end of the day, it's just massive trading. And I actually like trading here. Yeah, let's just trade everything. They can pick up the pawn because we are following the rule that we are up 2 points of material. And the moment that we are up 2 points of material, we just have to trade everything and make it a simple endgame. I don't know what they are doing, honestly. I think they were going to capture there. Instead, they play f6. It is a bit confusing. I think we can just take that. And it's just one more trade. Yeah. Actually, that's a good question. Do we want to take this? I mean, you could take it. It's a trade, but we are also activating that bishop. So maybe I don't want this. Maybe I don't want to activate that bishop. All right. One very smart move. Well, actually, one very smart move that we should do, I think, is to play h3, because the biggest problem that we might still run into was a back rank checkmate potentially, and by playing h3 that is completely fixed and we can just play this. They are going to get the bishop into the game anyways, but it's okay. So following CCT, checks, captures, threats, which move can we play here? I think it's a very fun move. Rook c8 with a check. Rook takes h8, and I know like the bishop can pick up both rooks, but they can only pick up one at the same time, which means that this was basically a guaranteed way for us to trade a rook, which is what we want. Let's double check what they are doing. Okay. And now if you follow this strategy that I teach you, then you will basically always get this type of endgame. You are going to get an endgame where you are up 2 pawns or maybe more. Like here, we are up 4 pawns. And as I said, what we want to do in the endgame is trade as much as possible. And it's going to be funny because, of course, as we get closer into the endgame, the pawn moves start to become more important. And it is especially in the endgame that the pawn moves are starting to become the best moves in the position. So it is when we get to the endgame that you can break my rule of trying to limit the pawn moves. And basically in the endgame, you can just start pushing pawns. Especially if you have what is known as a passed pawn, meaning a pawn that you can try to push to promotion. You just have to push it. So I'm just pushing pawns here as much as I possibly can. Of course, we cannot go any further. We would lose it. So let's bring up another pawn. And let's try to connect them so that they are protecting each other. All right. We cannot really push any of the pawns anymore, so I think I will need to get my king closer so I can start pushing the pawns again. Would actually be great if we could trade that bishop. I think that bishop is quite an annoying piece, but if they are smart, they will not allow us to trade it. All right. Yeah, that's another pawn push, and this is going to be unstoppable. And actually, I'm not sure which pawn push there immediately wins the game. I think we could play h3, but they are going to put the king in the corner. But the funny thing is, like, we have so many pawns here, I think we can just keep pushing them anyways, and we are going to be fine. Yeah. Well, actually, that's a sneaky one. I cannot take this bishop. If I take this bishop, that's a stalemate. So, oops, I think I just blundered the pawn there. It's all right. We are going to win this anyways. Okay, let's push this. Okay. There should be something here. I think if I do f6 check, it's basically game over because they have to allow us to promote. we can take the bishop. They still have a square. And then, of course, this is going to be a very easy checkmate. I hope that all of you know exactly how to checkmate here. You actually just have to do the queen's kiss checkmate, or you can make a second queen as well. So really try following this strategy. Try to limit your pawn moves and then drop a comment to let me know how it went.